Adam West's Batman is smarter television than anything in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because while today's superhero machine cranks out 2.5-hour CGI spectacles where nothing has any weight and every death gets reversed by the next movie, that goofy, campy, gloriously ridiculous 1966 Batman show understood something that audiences don't just want spectacle. They want to feel something. Even if what they feel is the pure, uncomplicated joy of watching a man in a rubber batsuit deliver a lecture on the dangers of littering with complete and total sincerity. Here are 7 superhero shows from the 1960s so wonderfully bad that they looped all the way back around to greatness, and why they still matter now more than ever. Batman, 1966 to 1968. Batman is not a guilty pleasure. It is not so bad it's good. It is genuinely great television that has been condescended to for 60 years by people who confused seriousness with quality.
Which ones?
Pretty fishy what happened to me on that ladder.
You mean where there's a fish, there could be a penguin?
But wait, it happened at sea. See?
Adam West knew exactly what he was doing. The man delivered every single line with the gravity of a Supreme Court justice reading a landmark ruling. And he did it on purpose, because he understood that the joke only works if you never break. Burt Ward's Robin hollered, "Holy this," and "Holy that," like a kid who just discovered the world's greatest game.
Holy toad! Holy pressure cooker! Holy triple feature! Holy kindergarten! Holy molars! Holy Wayne Manor! Holy puzzlers! Holy...
And the show treated every exploding shark and villainous surf competition with the same solemn weight you'd give a Senate hearing. That's not bad writing. That's a creative team that understood irony before irony was a cultural currency.
2. What people are always in a hurry?
Russian people? Russians!
Right again. Now, what would you say they mean?
Banana? Russian. I've got it! Someone Russian is gonna slip on a banana peel and break their neck!
Precisely.
The pow and bam graphics punching across the screen.
Get them, boys. Get them, or it's curtains!
The Dutch angles making every room look like it was sliding off a cliff. Commissioner Gordon perpetually on the verge of a nervous breakdown. All of it was intentional. Producer William Dozier read the comics and made a deliberate choice to play it completely straight while the world around Batman got increasingly insane. The result was something that worked on 2 levels simultaneously. Kids took it at face value, and adults laughed at the absurdity. And here's the legacy that never gets talked about. Batman 66 saved the character. DC Comics was in serious trouble in the early 60s. The show turned Batman into a global superstar, boosted comic sales overnight, and created a cultural footprint so large that when Frank Miller and Denny O'Neil later went dark and gritty with the comics in the 70s and 80s, they were explicitly reacting against this show. You can't have The Dark Knight without first having Adam West in a rubber suit. The camp created the contrast that made the darkness possible. So the next time someone tells you Batman 66 was just a dumb kid show, you tell them it was the foundation that every serious Batman story since has been built on. And then you do the Batusi. Spider-Man, 1967 to 1970.
Spider-Man does what...
Here's a piece of animation history that most people don't know, and it explains everything about why this show looks the way it does. Season 1 of the 1967 Spider-Man cartoon was produced by a company called Grand Trey Lawrence Animation. They had a reasonable budget, a decent crew, and genuine ambition. Then they went bankrupt, mid-production, leaving 32 episodes unfinished despite a full season order. The distributor, Krantz Films, needed someone to step in fast and finish the job on roughly half the original budget. So they hired a young, scrappy, intensely creative director named Ralph Bakshi. If that name means anything to you, you know where this is going. Bakshi would later go on to make Fritz the Cat, the first X-rated animated feature film in American history. He was not a man who colored inside the lines, and when he took over Spider-Man with almost no money and an impossible deadline, he did what any great artist does under pressure. He got creative. Backgrounds got recycled.
Alright, so first it opens up with the Psychedelia Castle. You can see it's also in Rocket Robin Hood. You get that really crazy shot in Rocket Robin Hood that you don't get in Spider-Man. Alright, see the bugs. See, it's basically the same exact shot.
Footage got reused. Entire sequences got lifted wholesale from another Bakshi production called Rocket Robin Hood and dropped into Spider-Man episodes with minimal changes. In one stretch of Season 3, Spider-Man appears to be fighting crime inside what is clearly a medieval castle because the footage came from a completely different show. The result is something that shouldn't work at all and is completely mesmerizing. Spider-Man swings past the same 3 buildings so many times, you start to feel like you know the neighborhood. The color palette shifts mid-episode for no reason anyone has ever been able to fully explain. Villains appear and vanish without resolution because there simply weren't enough frames to show them leaving. And through all of it, that theme song plays, possibly the single most effective piece of superhero marketing ever committed to tape. You heard it once in 1967, and it is still in your head right now. The jankiness isn't a flaw. This is what happens when genuine creative talent collides with genuine financial desperation, and the result is something that no amount of money could have manufactured. The New Adventures of Superman, 1966 to 1970. Filmation's Superman is a masterclass in doing the absolute most with the absolute least, and somehow making it work through sheer force of sincerity. The Man of Steel flies in perfectly straight lines.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
He punches with the stiffness of a malfunctioning action figure. He repeats the same stock poses across episodes like he's stuck in a cosmic slideshow. Entire conversations play out with only the characters' mouths moving, as if the rest of their bodies signed a separate contract and clocked out early. The sound effects arrive late, leave early, and occasionally show up to the wrong scene entirely. And yet there's something about it, something warm and uncomplicated that sneaks up on you if you let it. This was Saturday morning television made by people who genuinely believed they were bringing Superman to life. Not cynically, not as a content delivery mechanism. They loved the character, and that love radiates through every stiff frame and recycled background. There's a wholesomeness to it that feels almost radical now. A Superman who is simply uncomplicatedly good. No origin trauma being endlessly relitigated. No brooding. No slow-motion destruction of an entire city while the audience is supposed to feel conflicted about it. Just a man in a cape who shows up, does the right thing, and means it. In an era where every superhero story needs to be deconstructed, psychoanalyzed, and made relevant, there is something genuinely refreshing about a Superman who just believes in people. The animation may be limited, the belief is not. The Adventures of Superboy, 1966 to 1969.
The Adventures of Superboy. Exciting stories of Superman when he was a boy, who, even as an infant, demonstrated powers and abilities far beyond the capabilities.
The Adventures of Superboy wasn't a standalone series. It aired as animated segments within the New Adventures of Superman, the Superman/Aquaman Hour of Adventure, and the Batman/Superman Hour on CBS. 34 6-minute episodes tucked inside larger programming blocks, which tells you everything you need to know about the budget and the expectations. If Superman's show was running on a shoestring, Superboy was running on the memory of a shoestring. The animation is even more limited than its parent series. Characters glide rather than walk. Mouths move like they're trying to remember the alphabet. Superboy's expression rarely changes. He has the permanent look of someone trying to recall where he parked, and his heroic poses carry the energy of a kid who just learned he can lift a car but hasn't quite figured out how to put it down without breaking the driveway. And then there's Krypto. Krypto the Superdog appears in every single episode, and here's the thing. He is frequently the most competent character on screen. While Superboy is standing around looking mildly concerned, Krypto is already solving the problem. The dog has better instincts, better timing, and honestly better screen presence than most of the human cast. In a show held together by enthusiasm and not much else, a cartoon dog somehow became the anchor. There's a chaotic sweetness to the whole enterprise. It feels like a school project that somehow made it to national television. messy, unpolished, and completely endearing because of it. Birdman and the Galaxy Trio, 1967 to 1968.
Avenger, get Birdman coffee. Come on.
Birdman,
You can do it.
Birdman.
Get Birdman coffee.
Birdman. Sweet mercy.
Most people know Birdman today because of Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, the Adult Swim parody that ran in the early 2000s. But the original 1967 Hanna-Barbera series deserves to be known for something else entirely. It was designed by Alex Toth. Alex Toth was one of the most influential visual artists in the history of American comics and animation, a man whose philosophy of economy of line shaped everything from Space Ghost to Johnny Quest. His character designs were built for the brutal realities of limited TV animation. Clean, bold, instantly readable, with no unnecessary detail that would be impossible to reproduce frame after frame on a television budget. Toth didn't design Birdman despite the limitations. He designed him for them, which makes it all the more entertaining that the animation still couldn't quite keep up. Birdman's wings flap with the enthusiasm of a paper fan in a light breeze. His solar energy blasts look like someone drew them on with a highlighter. The Galaxy Trio, Vapor Man, Meteor Man, and Gravity Girl battle cosmic threats with the stiff determination of characters who know they have exactly 6 frames of animation to work with and are making the most of every single one. The villains pause dramatically between lines, not for effect, but because the animators needed the extra seconds. And the show takes itself completely, utterly, magnificently seriously. There is not a single wink at the camera, not one moment of self-awareness. Birdman is saving the world, and he is going to do it with total conviction. And the fact that his wings look like they're made of construction paper is simply not going to be acknowledged by anyone. That commitment is the whole show. It's a cosmic opera performed with hand puppets, and it is wonderful. The Mighty Heroes, 1966 to 1967.
Strong Man, Cuckoo Man, Tornado Man, Rope Man, and Diaper Man.
Remember Ralph Bakshi, the guy who took over Spider-Man in Season 2 and turned it into a beautiful, chaotic fever dream? Before he did that, he was working at Terrytoons, a New York animation studio that was struggling to stay relevant in the mid-1960s. Bakshi, then a young director with more ideas than resources, pitched a superhero parody on the spot during a meeting. The studio greenlit it immediately. That show was The Mighty Heroes. It aired as segments within Mighty Mouse Playhouse on CBS starting in October 1966, and it was a superhero parody before superhero parodies were a recognized genre. The team, Strongman, Rope Man, Tornado Man, Cuckoo Man, and the inexplicable Diaper Man, were well-meaning, enthusiastic, and spectacularly consistently incompetent. Their powers were deployed with the precision of people trying to assemble furniture without instructions. Their attempts at heroism regularly created more collateral damage than the villains. The villains themselves often looked genuinely confused, as if they'd expected a real fight and instead got ambushed by a group project gone catastrophically wrong.
Let's get 'em, heroes!
The animation is frantic, the pacing is relentless. Every episode moves like it's been given 5 minutes to make an impression and has decided to use all 5 minutes simultaneously. It is, in the best possible way, completely unhinged. What makes it historically significant is the DNA it carries. Bakshi's instinct to subvert the superhero genre, to ask what happens when the heroes are the problem, runs directly from The Mighty Heroes through his later, more famous work, and arguably into every superhero parody that came after. The Incredibles, Kick-Ass, Invincible. They all owe something, however indirectly, to a cartoon dog and a guy in a diaper fighting crime on Saturday morning television in 1966. The Marvel Superheroes, 1966. We end with the one that started it all, and the one that most honestly represents what this entire era of television was actually doing. The Marvel Superheroes, which debuted in syndication in September 1966, was the first Marvel animated series ever made. Captain America on Mondays, Hulk on Tuesdays, Iron Man on Wednesdays, Thor on Thursdays, Submariner on Fridays. 5 heroes, 5 days a week, 65 half-hour episodes. produced by Grand Trey Lawrence Animation using a technique that can only be described as motion comics, and even that is being generous. The animation is not animation in any traditional sense. It is Xeroxed comic book art, panels drawn by Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, traced onto cells and moved across the screen with the bare minimum of actual motion. A character's arm might swing, an eyebrow might raise, an explosion appears as a static drawing that politely fades in and then fades out as if it doesn't want to cause a fuss. The dialogue is lifted almost word for word from the original Stan Lee scripts, which means every scene has the dramatic punch of a radio play that got accidentally trapped inside a slideshow.
Stop! Cap, Hawkeye! Look, it's a court order. Because of the things that have happened, we've been ordered to disband the Avengers.
The end.
And here's the thing, it works. Not despite the limitations, but because of what's underneath them. These are Jack Kirby's designs, Stan Lee's words, Steve Ditko's compositions. The raw material is so strong that even the most rudimentary animation can't kill it. You're watching the actual Silver Age Marvel Universe, translated to television with almost no budget and almost no compromise on the source material. Every episode is a time capsule, not just of the characters, but of a moment in American culture when superhero comics were still considered disposable entertainment for children, right before they became the dominant mythology of the 20th century. Watching this show now, knowing what Marvel eventually became, is like finding a home movie of someone who grew up to change the world. Rough, unpolished, and completely irreplaceable.